brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. And now it's sippin' time.
Hello and welcome to this SIPS episode where everything good in life is worth discussing. I'm one of your hosts here at the table, good old boy Mike, and joining me for this episode is good old boy Jason.
Good to be here.
Our SIPS segments are all about wine, distilled spirits, tea, and coffee. Today we're going to talk about our favorite things for
Raindrops
2014.
on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things.
That's right. We're going to be talking about our favorite things from 2014. This is all of our favorite things that are in the spirits for 2014, so all the distilled products. We're going to talk about our favorite whiskeys, our favorite new distilled product for 2014, and possibly some of our favorite places that we actually got to enjoy some really great products for 2014. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion, Jason. Should be a lot of fun. You're going to get our honor of going over our SIPS ratings for our audience today.
All right. Well, it looks like we have 5 ratings. Number 1 is give me a glass of water to wash out my mouth.
Bring water! Bring water!
Number 2, nice, but what else do you have?
Well, isn't that nice?
I think I said that a couple times tonight.
Number 3, interesting. What was that again?
Interesting.
I think I've already used the word interesting 40 times. I think that may be my limit tonight.
Number 4, let's keep this a secret to ourselves. Pour me another.
That's classified.
And lastly, number 5, oh my, I was unaware anything could be this good.
Oh my goodness!
That I have definitely said tonight. We really have some great things to talk about. It's been another great year for distilled spirits, with bourbon actually taking a very commanding dominance of shelf space. New products and major buzz. It has been a bourbon-filled world, that's for sure, on 2014. Our show today reflects definitely much of that trend, and Jason and I have had a chance to taste some products that are our short list of some favorite things for 2014. I'm going to talk about some of these, and then we're going to drift way off this list rather quickly. So at the first is St. George. It's the XXX, a really fabulous product, and it was really great. We had it this year. Four Roses 2014 limited edition small batch. The 1966 Laubade Armagnac. Mitcher's 10. We're going to talk about that a little bit, more than a little bit. St. George, Pear Brandy, the Lost Distilleries blend, which is in high dispute for Jason in terms of the label, so we'll figure out that mystery. And we're going to both, I'm going to butcher it, and then you're going to correct me. The Nikka Taketsuru, 17-year-old.
I'll take that.
Okay, all right.
I'll take that.
That doesn't suck too bad. The Teeling single grain, Fuse, their rye product, Tomatin 18-year-old, and we have had some other things. Willett, that is only available in the gift shop. And what's the last one there, Jason?
The William LaRue Weller.
Yep. So we've had some really great stuff that we've actually been able to taste both this evening as well as throughout the year that we'll get to talk about. So a really nice range of products to discuss on this episode. Now, I actually tried to locate the number of bourbon releases in 2014.
Good luck to you.
I just looked all over the place, and I gave up. So I'm going to guess it's probably been about 200 different bourbons.
I would say at least, yeah, for sure.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, I really don't know how the average consumer can really navigate, that landscape of that many new products. I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah, it really is.
So if I had to sum things up kind of across the spectrum, some things that I really saw for 2014, it's that the quality of everything just really got kicked up. Shelf space is really becoming a huge premium for retailers. So you're not going to be able to rely on a pure marketing play, with average product that looks cool, has great packaging, and expect to maintain that shelf space. The consumers are just going to see that facade, and they'll chase quality over packaging.
Absolutely.
I really think we're dealing with an informed consumer base that really understands a lot of what they're looking for right now. There are a lot of other things that are kind of confusing, the consumer as well, and creating a lot of confusion. There are multiple age releases. There are different wood types. There's declarations of blended and single barrel that I think are pretty suspect at times. I would like to think that our show here is actually helping to kind of reduce some of that noise and really just talk about what's in the glass at the end of the day, because that's really the only thing.
That's all that matters.
Because the retailer, the shelf space, all the packaging, everything else, the only thing you're left with is what's in the glass at the end of the day. So it really has been, it's at times a consumer minefield. You and I both walk in liquor stores, and I'm looking at the shelf as much as I'm looking at the other people. Sometimes when you walk in, and I just people look like a deer in headlights standing in front of
They really do. There's so many choices now. It's tough.
And that eye level thing is, it's like, I think people, it's just that eye level, and they're looking up and down the shelf. That, I don't know, that's just a foreign concept, to a lot of average consumers. Or they think if they look up, and for some reason that has a perception and increase in quality as well as price.
Yeah.
And I don't buy that.
Yeah. And what people don't really get is that most of the good stuff is in the back room being hidden by the retailer.
Absolutely. And you have to know how to walk in and ask for it, 9 times out of 10, because they're not even going to put it on the shelf.
Right.
So they want to sell it to you, but at the same time, they don't want to just sell it to a schmo at the same time.
Yeah.
So discriminating retailers. Jason and I recorded one of our most popular shows this year on MGP, the Midwest Grain Products Show. Listen, I would encourage you, if you have missed this show, you need to go back and listen to that. You really talk about confusion. Jason absolutely pulled a fast one on me in the middle of this show with Cleveland bourbon. So here's a reminder of that clip for everybody.
It's going to be Cleveland bourbon whiskey. I'm sorry I didn't ask you, how long is this one aged?
Well, I want you to taste it first, and then I want to tell you.
This is the surprise one.
Yeah, this is the surprise.
I've never had this before.
I will say there's two ends of the spectrum. Either people hate it or people love it. But when they hear the story, it's a very, very interesting story.
A very different nose. I can't put my finger on it. It's sweet, but it's a different kind of sweet. It's not a corn sweet. It's like a woody sweet. Trying to think what that reminds me of. I'll think of it here in a minute. Wow, this is
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting is definitely a word. I've had some things that are in French oak that are very reminiscent of this. There's another product, Breen, I think that's the name of it, that is also made in French oak, and that would be my neophyte guess. I don't know that I would put it... Wow. I don't know if I'd come back to this or not. I can see having a two-finger glass of this and being done, and not having a second glass. And for that, I'll probably rate this. SIPS rating for Cleveland's bourbon whiskey is going to be 3.
Interesting.
Interesting, but what else do you have?
That's interesting to me.
Yeah.
So would you like to hear the story of this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so this whiskey is 6 months old.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So
I can't believe that.
It is. So what they did.
I'm flabbergasted. Yeah.
So what they did is they bought whiskey from MGP LDI, and they brought it to their distillery, and then they pressure aged it for 24 hours in a pressure cooker with wood chips to give it their own unique flavor.
So this is the KFC of the bourbon industry?
This is somebody trying to speed up the aging process. So, instead of waiting 10 years for good whiskey, these guys are, in my opinion, putting out a decent product after 6 months.
Well, I'd have to say, hearing a bit more of the background story, I totally give props out to that.
Yeah.
For the innovation alone, I am really shocked. And I'm sure that there are a lot of purists that are throwing dull blunt objects at their radios right about now going, "You suck." There is no way. That is, you can't even label that bourbon. That's not aging. That's like pressurized cooking crap. Yeah, I'm sorry, but don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would be exactly what I would tell people. You think that's a trend?
I do think it's a trend.
Simply because supply and demand is so hot in the bourbon world right now, and the availability of good wood barrel is in short supply. Do you think that there's going to be some other distillers that are going, that sucks? Hang on a second, let me try that.
Yeah, exactly. and I will tell you that every micro distillery is trying to speed up the aging process right now. And if they're not, then they're dumb. Because, waiting 10 years for a product, paying to put up those barrels, paying the tax every year it's aging, it's going to get really, really expensive. You have to have tens and tens of millions of dollars behind you if you want to do it that way.
Just a really fabulous clip, and it's been months, since that happened. I'm still blown away. I'm sitting here listening to this with you, and it was a really fabulous show, and this was just such a very small piece of a really great show that we talked about. Such a broad range of products that day, and I almost felt like I was a student at the table, sitting with you, as much as just enjoying, talking, about those products. Really great day, Jason. Thank you.
Well, that was my pleasure.
So, has there been any more movement with producers that are kind of even going down the KFC method, trademark, good old boy Mike, 2014? That's just really unique, about wanting to pressure cook and force things into the wood like that.
Well, I can tell you a lot of people are messing around with different things. You've got the Tuttletown, the Hudson Valley people. They age their whiskey in baby barrels, and then they put subwoofers all around the barrels and play hip-hop music. So those barrels are just vibrating all the time.
What kind of music are they playing? I like the barrel that's really fun to Barry Manilow. Do you have a Barry Manilow? You have a Barry Manilow barrel? That's exactly what I want to hear.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
Yeah, and then you've got Maker's Mark with Maker's 46 that are putting extra wood staves inside the barrel to try to change the flavor up. You've got lots of different people playing with spirals. They take a piece of wood and they turn it into a long spiral so that as much surface area of the wood hits the whiskey when it's aging. But everybody's playing, but very few have actually come up with something very, very good. Very few.
Well, I think as long as there is such a high demand for, products that really you're looking for that essence of things that have been aged, I think you're going to continue to see, a lot of experimentation around it.
Oh, absolutely.
And always trying to cheat, nature.
Absolutely.
At its best as well.
You said it best. With the KFC method, patent pending. But sometimes you can't eat it Ruth Chris every single night. You can't always have the nice stuff. Sometimes you got to go to KFC and have some fried chicken.
Well, I still have to say that it really, even listening, to myself, in retrospect. I remember just how flabbergasted I was, tasting that. It just really was unlike anything that we had at the table that day.
Yeah.
But still, even looking back at it, I really have to applaud the measure of innovation and the flavor profile that they had in that. It was really quite good. Well, the micro distiller market is just really going very well. It's actually up 30% in the U.S. alone and swinging now at over 600 distilleries in the U.S. That is just, that is crazy.
It is.
Now look at the, if you look back at the pace of growth year over year, I mean, if you look back just like 2004, 2005, there were only 50 distilleries.
God,
in the
it's
U.S.
just nuts.
That's just crazy. So if you think that the shelf space is crowded, I really just don't think you really have seen anything yet.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have to grow the consumer space. There's just not enough room in the consumers for all of those people to be successful. Mm-hmm. And I would have to say that the elements of exporting is definitely going to have to play a very heavy hand in that many distilleries in the U.S. alone.
Oh, absolutely.
This phenomenon is actually not unique just to the U.S. I mean, there are other countries where you're seeing some of the same growth patterns. Certainly not the same number of distilleries, but certainly in terms of the percentage of growth,
oh, absolutely,
I would say is very much the case.
Absolutely.
With that many White Lightning factories, I really have high expectations of what's going to happen in the next 5 years as well. Now, 2014 produced some really great products, and we're going to get right to talking about some of those. So, a first question up is, Jason, what was your favorite product for 2014?
Well, I tell everybody who asks me what my favorite whiskey is, it's always hard for me to pick the number one. So, let's set aside all my past favorites, and what stood out to me the most this year to be unique and different and just, outstanding was the William LaRue Weller. And that comes from Buffalo Trace Distillery, which is a subsidiary of Sazerac.
Fabulous product, and I got to enjoy some here with you tonight. So
yeah.
What did you like about it so much?
Well, okay, so William LaRue Weller is the wheated whiskey recipe from Buffalo Trace, but this year's release was something very, very unique. It was the first time that it was ever a hazmat whiskey, and if you can't see me, I'm putting that hazmat in quotation marks, air quotation marks.
I don't have a sound for air quotation marks, Jason.
But basically what that means is it's a liquor product that's over 140 proof, and the reason we call it a hazmat whiskey is because you can't take it on an airplane with you. It's actually a hazardous material. So you can't ship it through normal mail. It has to go through ground shipping. So this product came out to 70.1% alcohol or 140.2 proof, which was the highest proof a wheated whiskey from Buffalo Trace had ever gone to. And I will tell you that it keeps the nuances of the sweet wheat that is, Pappy is famous for, that Weller 12 is famous for, but it adds a new level of spice and heat that comes with a high proof whiskey. So in my opinion, it was mixing of the two great worlds. It was the spice of like a George T. Stag, something that's high proof. You're sucking on a piece of wood, but then it gives you that sweetness, that creaminess, the chocolate of a wheated whiskey. I mean, just absolutely fantastic.
What's your SIPS rating for that?
Oh, if it goes above a 5, then I give it anything above a 5, but we'll go with a 5 for tonight.
Definitely. Oh my, I was unaware anything could be this good. So I had a chance to taste this tonight, and this was my first time actually tasting this. And, I think one of the things that, kind of caught my attention was it was actually a little bit hot, when I had it in the glass, and I think that was my initial reaction. Now, this is cask strength.
Yes.
Right?
It's uncut and unfiltered, so this does not go through the normal chill filtration process that most whiskey does.
Well, so I actually dropped a half ice cube in it, and it just completely opened up for me.
Yeah.
I really just so some of the things that I was saying about this is the perfect product for cigar pairing.
Oh yeah,
it was just so rich and it was so full. I can see that if you're enjoying something else with this, I think it would be all the better. Mm-hmm. And so I think that was one of the things that I really felt would play very well with this product was a lot of pairing, opportunities with this. It was very round. It was very full. It was very full-bodied. I didn't think it was too sweet. I didn't think it was too hot after, just cutting it just a hair. But really fabulous product. I'm the same.
Oh,
a 5. A solid 5 for that product. Really great product. And I was really fortunate that Jason brought that along. So I don't know. It may have influenced my own choice here.
Well, I mean, can't you just imagine drinking this by a campfire with a bunch of people out in the cold? I mean, what a whiskey to warm you up and keep you happy.
I think I'd want him naked. I want clothes, but everybody else would be naked. Have another. That's exactly how I want to enjoy that. Oh, I'll be the fat old man sitting around with a cigar going, go ahead, enjoy. My favorite product is actually going to be Mitcher's 10. And there's a little bit of a story, behind this as well. So the craze is on, for what I describe as full flavor bourbon. And I'll just call it everybody's chasing the Pappy tasting profile. Like that is the one and only. Now, for those of you that are unaware, Pappy Van Winkle produces some really great products, but it's also in short supply, and the prices have just gone absolutely crazy for this. With the average bottle now hitting about $1,000 a bottle, I mean, you really have to pause to wonder what's actually in the bottle, for that price. Mm-hmm. So there's a little bit more here to the story because during the week that so they have 2 releases of Pappy. They have one around April, and they usually have one really late, usually around December.
Which I will tell you now they've changed. It's just once a year now.
It is once a year.
Supply is so short. It's once a year, right before Christmas.
So Jason and I are emailing each other back and forth because I had a short list of places that I was going to be able to find it, and then Jason was looking at that short list, and by the time I even hit send, it was gone. and Jason and I were talking about the prices of some of the things that were going on with Pappy, during December. We could probably have a whole show just not even talking about the products, just about how crazy
the prices are getting
that
now.
Really got. I mean, it was just really quite nutty. So this product, Interstage Left, for Mitcher's 10. So this product has actually been around for some time. This is not a new product.
No, it's actually a resurrection of an old distillery.
Yeah. So I actually got introduced to this product during a blind taste testing. Jason was asking me about this earlier, and so I was at a blind taste testing. There were about 15 products in this blind. I had no idea what we were tasting that evening. And it was a broad range of stuff. It was just, sniff, swirl, and, tell us what you like, kind of thing. And it was a really broad range of stuff. The Mitcher's 10, was there, and the Pappy 23 was in this lineup as well. And I wound up with maybe 4 glasses of the 15 that I was kind of sitting there kind of mulling over. And those two were very, very close to each other. And I kept on going back and forth. And again, this is blind tasting. I'm just sitting there with a glass with a number on it. That's all I knew. And I kept on going back and forth and back and forth. And finally I was like, you know what? There's just something about this one in this glass. It just has an X factor. I can't put my finger on it, but that's it for me. These are like super close. So they ended up doing the reveal of what was at this blind tasting, and so that's when I saw that I really kind of put those two products, in a heads up, manner. I just ended up picking the Mitchers over everything else in that tasting, including the Pappy. It was just super, super close. The thing that I really remember about the Mitchers was, and the Pappy was, it really had, it was ringing so many bells of that full-bodied, flavor that you're really kind of looking for. it was very smooth as well.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where I could get lost with the number of glasses I've had of that rather quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Somebody would walk by and go, that is your 6th glass. Are you sure you want another one of those? So, so there's a little bit of a sleight of hand here in that there's actually some of the batches of Mitchers is exactly the same distiller as Pappy.
Correct. Now that's all the
Weller.
Correct. Now that's all the 20 and the 25-year-old whiskey was original Stitzer-Weller whiskey, and I will tell you, I've been fortunate enough to taste some of it, and absolutely out of this world.
Well, I'm, I think the one thing that I'm a little upset at myself was I walked away from that evening and I actually didn't take some closer pictures of the bottle to see exactly which batch I've had.
Yeah, which year it was.
Because there have been multiple batches of Mitchers, and I've had it since, and it's still really fabulous. And I'm probably remiss, and I'm probably not picking up the exact same product that I tasted, but that evening it really captured my attention. So, and I think that's a very common problem that you have with especially with some high-end bourbons. Well, I don't say high-end bourbons, but I think things that they're barrel aged that you really kind of have to really pay attention to the elements of bottling and understand specifically the reference to the cask or the barrel, the elements of blending that have been applied there, because there can be variations definitely along the way.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I can tell you, I just had this exact conversation with my father. My father is a big wine collector, and, he collects every year's worth of, Schaefer Hillside Select, and he says that every year tastes different. And, when it came to whiskey, I was telling him, well, I like to collect, every year's worth of Antique Collection or Pappy. And, he asked the question, well, isn't it all the same? I mean, don't they just try to come up with the same exact stuff every single time? And I asked him the follow-up question, well, is there a difference between, an 89 and 96, Silver Oak or Schaefer? And, he went, oh, yeah, there is. And I said, well, there is in whiskey, too.
Excuse me. Absolutely. So it's an interesting play because, I see both sides of the, conversation so clearly. I don't know that you could compare, a product that is made by nature with a product that is influenced by nature and has such a heavy hand, of it actually being created as opposed to something that you're just relying upon whatever, comes off the vine, for wine. But at the same time, you still have elements of nature that's really coming into play, which is the wood, weather, temperature.
Oh, yeah.
Even the position within the barrel house itself.
Oh, yeah. And going back to your wine example, not to mention the corn or the rye and where it came from and how long it was grown for and how the seasons interacted with the crop. There's just a ton of factors that go into every year's batch.
Yeah. So back to the Mitchers. So my tasting notes that I captured there, really big flavors of wood. It had kind of this sweet citrus overtone to it. Just this really big, nice, long, lingering finish. It just kept going on and on and on and on. Very easy for me to say the same thing. My SIPS rating is a 5 for the Mitchers 10.
And I will tell you, I've been fortunate enough to try many years worth of Michter's 10, and I'm right there with you. It definitely deserves a 5 rating. And I will tell you that, I think one of the biggest reasons why it is so good, and it's what they claim is their difference and their ability, is the filtration process that they use on their whiskey. It really just rounds it out.
Yeah. I love that word. That is such a great description of a rounding component to that. There are no really sharp edges, on that flavor profile. And that's true of the Pappy as well.
Yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
Everything's there and it's distinct, but they're not like sharp elements of taste, where you go, wow, that's a lot of wood. You just say, wow, there's wood there. There's a difference between those, statements. So listen, I would, if you'd like to actually check out a really great blind tasting discussion on Mitchers, I actually want to tell you to check out a blog from a friend of the show called Smoky Beast, and there'll be a link for this breakdown of a tasting of Pappy 23 versus Mitchers, and it actually breaks things down on a barrel by barrel level across 4 different bottles as well. So it's really cool. I think you'd enjoy reading it as well, Jason.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really love just the I don't want to say the scientific method, but I love the approach that he and his wife actually took to that tasting, and how well they documented it. It just was really it was quite good. If I didn't know any better, he was at that tasting. So I mean, it was just so good. Well, the one thing that I don't want to slip away is the other thing that you have here on the table, because so I am a fan of Willett. But the only Willett that I drink on a regular basis is just the one that is the cask. It's in the big bottle. It has kind of big fruit on the top of it.
The one that fits nowhere.
It doesn't. It doesn't fit anywhere on my shelf, except at the top. But and I had the XFC, which was released this year. Was it
XCF?
XCF. I knew I'd blow that. See, just like that.
Exploratory cask finish, I think is what it is.
Yeah, I'm going to call it the Orange Bomb. That's what I'm going to call it.
Yeah, I can tell you. It was so funny because I was in the liquor store when I bought that bottle, and I opened it to let the clerk try it. And I bought 2 bottles, and he and I both shared a glass, and we tried it, and I looked at him, and I go, Can I give you back the other bottle? Can I sell it back to you?
And so I am watching all these people react when this bottle came out. I didn't get to have any of it in advance, and I just, I was watching all these tasting notes and stuff, and so our mutual friend Ryan and I were chatting online, and he was tasting it at the same time, and he was like, "Oh, Mike, I don't know. You have to come try some of this." And so I came down. I had a couple of drams, with him, and I'm like, "Wow, you can." I don't want that. It was not what I think of, when I was thinking of Willett, and it was just such a huge departure from, a really great bourbon. Mm-hmm. I mean, I really love Willett. But this animal that you brought tonight,
this is an animal
gift shop, was really amazing. Why don't you tell everybody about this other product that you brought?
Yeah, well, this is the Willett Family Reserve. This is in that same bottle that the Antique Collection or the Eagle Rare is in, and this is a 21-year-old. It is barrel number C10A. And I bought this at the gift shop up at Willett. This barrel only yielded 83 bottles, and we're drinking bottle number 39. Once again, you can see my taste profile. This bottle is 72.2% alcohol or 144.4 proof. But this is a wheated distillate from Heaven Hill. So this is the Bernheim recipe, aged at Willett for 21 years and then bottled at cask strength. And I will tell you that this is one of my favorite Willett bottles that I've ever tried. And there's a bunch of these out right now, these 21-year-old wheats. There's the Wheated Warriors, there's C10D, there's a bunch of different ones. And I will tell you that, it's just, if you can get a bottle, you're going to end up paying a fortune for it. But it is absolutely just incredible. The dark chocolate on it, it's just absolutely fantastic.
So what's your SIPS rating on that?
Well, a 5. A 5 or higher if we could go higher.
Oh my, I was unaware anything could be that good. And I actually got to taste it for the first time tonight as well. I think Jason enjoys watching my reaction as much as, you guys actually enjoy listening to me talking about the taste profile of these things. If I had to describe it, it's like a fish ladder for your palate that's just cascading down on just multiple staves of wood. And on the top of each stave is just a layer of chocolate Tootsie Roll.
Oh, yeah.
And so you have just kind of this rolling effect, that's going down through your palate. And you have just this constant, over and under and over and under that's going on, just through these elements of wood and sweet, and then it just keeps on going on and on. Just a really fabulous product. I know that I'll probably never get to taste it again, so
Oh my goodness.
it's definitely a 5 in my book. So we actually broke a golden rule here on our show. We usually don't like to talk about things that are whales that nobody will find, and we actually, we have more than one whale, here, even in the studio here tonight. The St. George, XXX is, a very special rendition of, their single malt Scotch, and I went to great lengths definitely to land that bottle, and it was definitely not cheap either. But it has some of those same characteristics where it's like everything is amplified, that you just never tasted anything like that before. And so I'm really glad you brought the Willett tonight, because that was a real treat. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was my pleasure.
All right. Well, we're out of the gate talking about our favorite things so far, and we're going to take a quick break here. And when you come back, we're going to pick up on another clip from the Ardbeg story, and then we'll chase right into talking about some of our own favorite things as well. We'll be right back. Yeah, Jason, what are some of your comments about some of the other scotches that were not? You've talked about the Lagavulin and the Lefroy. How about both the Ardbergs?
Well, the Ardbeg Uigeadail is very interesting. I would probably give it a SIPS rating of a 3.
Interesting.
Which is interesting. What was that again? And I would comment that it's very heavy on the peat, but it has a very leathery taste to it. Almost reminds me of, like you were saying, the bagpipes going off. It definitely is a Scotch drinker's Scotch. The Ardbeg Alligator, I will say that this one seems a little different to me. It's very heavy on the peat, but it's almost got a slightly bitter taste to me. So I'm going to have to give it a SIPS rating of a 2.
Well, isn't that nice?
I know that this might offend some other people at the table, but I will say, just for my palate, it's slightly too bitter for me. It's not what I look for in a whiskey. I like something with a little more sweetness, a little more citrus notes.
Capello, braver than a bullfighter with no knickers on.
Yes, he went out on a limb as he offered up that rating, just like a Scottish soccer player, footballer. So this is exposing a little bit of some of your palate disposition between you two as well.
Oh, we're exactly opposite of each other.
I definitely.
Tell. We've debated on this for years.
You're all peat and he's all non-peat. So.
We may have to take this outside.
So I
just a really great clip from a really great episode where we actually went through a series of Scotch from Isla and several Ardbegs, and I mispronounced that. And the thing that I love is at least I stay consistent.
You
Jason.
do. You are consistent.
I at least I butchered it well and often, and I've done the same thing as this same episode. So I let's see. I say it as Mitchers.
And I say it is Michters.
Michters. All right. So we're going to go with Jason's call on this because that's the correct one. And it is definitely not Mitchers, which is what I am saying it as. So please do not walk into your retail store and sound like a boob idiot when I'm talking about that. So I'm going to get my Mick on and definitely talk about the right product for sure.
Hey, I'll just go ahead and say I can't tell you how many times I've been to a liquor store and had somebody ask me for, hey, do you have that Peppy? I need that Peppy. I think it's Peppy Wankle or Stankle or what's it called?
You know what, dude? You're not worthy. Back of the line. I'm sorry. There is nothing here for you at all. Head to the parking lot. Take a bottle of Boone's Farm on the house for free. Get out. Definitely. Well, we have some more favorite things to talk about, and the thing that we wanted to pick up is actually talking about our favorite new product of the year. And so, Jason, I'm going to let you start off with your favorite new product for 2014.
Well, okay. So we all know that, I own a product, and, I will tell you that one of my favorite things, one of my favorite trends is the barrel finishing. Mm-hmm. And I will say, not to toot my own horn, but my Cumberland Cask Ruby Cut is one of, in my opinion, one of the special spirits out of Tennessee. So, relating back to home, relating back to the craft spirit and what we can do, I really do think it's something unique. It's something special. I just thought it was really interesting that me, being somebody very small, came out with a first for Tennessee, which was basically a whiskey that was aged and then saw a second barrel. I mean, how many bourbons and scotches and Irish whiskeys and Japanese whiskeys have seen a second barrel for this barrel finishing? And, the big companies in Tennessee had just been resting on their laurels and never done it. So, we did a first here by coming out with a port wine finished Tennessee whiskey. So that was my favorite new product as a local pick. Now, cool. if I was to pick a product across the United States, I really love what Sazerac and Buffalo Trace does with all their whiskey. I mean, you can pick pretty much anything from them, and I will tell you it's one of my favorites. I mean, that it really just is. I mean, I love the E.H. Taylor line with all my heart. I just love it, and I love the antique collection. I mean, every year it's something new, it's something unique, and it's just incredible.
Well, and I'm a fan of the Buffalo Trace experimental series as well.
Oh yeah,
and it's
very
just it's almost like you've walked into the mad scientist product lab.
Yeah,
and you're getting to see all of these elements of different wood types and different aging characteristics that are being applied right there in the factory. And I don't know if this just really kind of started on a lark, or how they kind of went down that path of creating that series. I want to say they call it the White Oak Project, or
are you talking about the Single Oak Project?
Well, there's the Single Oak Project.
There's two. There's the Single Oak and then the Buffalo Trace Experimental Collection.
Series. But they both have some very similar characteristics.
Oh yeah,
in that you're seeing where they're playing around with different elements along the way. And I really love that. And really a huge fan of that for sure.
And I will agree with you. I mean, that series is so cool. I mean, how unique is it that they make the consumer the master blender, master taster? I mean, it's just so neat. I mean, every year they come up with a couple new ones, and they're always just super interesting.
Well, Jason and I had an interesting moment. We were both at a industry tasting together, and we both ran across what we thought was emblematic of a trend. But this particular product definitely captured our attention for the evening. Why don't you tell everybody about the White Oak?
Okay, well, the White Oak is basically it's a Japanese malt. It's a Japanese malt whiskey.
I say fill my cup up in Japanese.
And it's basically, the way I look at it, it's kind of the entry into the category. Most Japanese whiskey in America is 70, 80 and up on the shelf, and this one is going to hit right in the mid 30s. I mean, it's really like the entry into the category, and what a great entry also. I mean, it's just absolutely fantastic. And I applaud the Japanese. I mean, they were really forward thinking. I mean, these guys were making and recreating what the Scotch were doing in Scotland and what the bourbon makers in Kentucky were doing. So these guys, you're gonna see a huge trend in the industry with all this Japanese whiskey coming over to North America, especially ever since Suntory bought out Beam and now has a direct path to releasing all these products in North America?
Well, so the tasting profile of this was the thing that really captured at least my attention that evening. I was really shocked at how much peat there really was in this.
Oh, yeah.
And I just, a lot of the other Japanese whiskeys, that I've had are really good. I find their distillation and aging process has really, I don't know, it's like somebody turned a dime, in the last, 3 or 4 years, and there's like a whole new gear, for so many products. And I think it was the measure of peat in this that I was like, whoa, wait a second. I'm sorry, what continent did this come from? Because I would say it was really hanging tough with, some of the best Scotch, that I've had lately as well. We actually have another Japanese whiskey here tonight, which is the Nikka Taketsuru, the 17-year-old, as well. I'm not so sure that this is really in the same, thought process, that I had about the white oak, and I think about a number of really great, Japanese whiskeys that are, out and about right now. This definitely had a lot of peat on it, but I thought it was rather sweet. Mm-hmm. I was really, Frank, I was a little disappointed with this.
It's a little too light.
My SIPS rating for the Nikka Taketsuru 17-year-old was actually a 3. Which is interesting. What was that again? Because that was kind of my general reaction to it as well. Is that I was kind of waiting for, is there something else?
Yeah,
behind this. But there have been just a number of really great Japanese whiskeys on the market, and so this product that we saw from White Oak, I definitely would keep your eye out for that hitting a shelf around you in the very near future to definitely see that. Well, I wanted to talk about one of my favorite new products this year, and something that Jason is just going to have to stomach his way through here. So, my favorite new product is actually from St. George Distillery. It's their Pear Brandy. Now, St. George Distillers makes a very broad range of products, and this particular product definitely captured my attention. They were founded in 1982 by German-born Jörg Rupp. St. George Spirits is one of the oldest craft distilleries in the United States. The distillery housed in an old World War II airplane hangar on a former naval base, toy boat. It's at the edge of San Francisco. I know, I'm going to get through this yet.
We've been drinking too much 140 proof whiskey already.
Give me another. Let's see. It's actually the home to Lance Winters. He is the mad scientist at St. George Master Distiller. Now, Winters is widely known for experimenting with different types of spirits. He has a laboratory dominated by a 10-liter test still, in addition to the glass beakers and graduated cylinders that cover every inch of his counter space. Now, next to the dusty chalkboards, yes, I said chalkboard, is actually caked with equations for conversions of sugar to alcohol. I usually like to keep track of the number of beers that I consume within a certain period of time, but this guy is actually doing work. He actually has intricate diagrams of molecular structures on bottles of experimental whiskeys, vodkas, and he's actually aging a bottle of balsamic vinegar. It's already 14 years, actually, just kind of sitting there on his desk.
Wow.
So their objective with the Pear Brandy, as Winters explains, was to take an olfactory snapshot to capture exactly what the pear smells like at the peak of ripeness. Now, brandy is a very aromatic, but this is aromatic with a capital A. It is. They use dry-farmed organic Bartlett pears, which are then distilled with their stems and leaves, everything, and they pack about 30 pounds of fruit in every single bottle.
Good gosh.
I mean, this is definitely taking distilling to a new level for sure. My tasting notes around the St. George Pear Brandy, it actually has an aroma of sweet citrus and pears that give way to notes of apple, caramel, oak, cinnamon, and of course pear, and more pears. And my SIPS rating for this product is a 5.
Yes! 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 Yes!
Now, I'm going to caution good old boy Jason here that he is not a fan of brandy in general, but I will ask you, what did you think of this?
Well, I will tell you, when I first tasted it, of course, the initial reaction was, oh my God, what was that? I really wasn't expecting what it was, but now that
I was getting you back for the whole Cleveland bourbon thing. That was my sole objective of this.
Well, and I will tell you now that I'm sitting here, and I'm smelling it. I mean, when you smell this product, it smells like you just went to the store, you got a great pear, and you just cut it in half and you just held it up to your nose.
Yeah.
I mean, this just screams pear. And then when you taste it, we were having that discussion of, I wonder what this proof is, because this is really, really smooth, and we found out that it's 80 proof,
yeah, which is very approachable for a brandy. Yeah.
Absolutely. You're talking about comparing this to like a vodka, and I will tell you, this is a lot easier to drink than a vodka neat. So I'm going to give this a SIPS rating, personal opinion, of a 4. Which is, let's keep this a secret to ourselves. Pour me another.
Wow.
Which I will say is very unique for me. And I will tell you, it's just because, if you are going to make a pear brandy, that's it. You can't get better than that.
I feel like my work is just starting here. I feel like I've converted Jason. It's just a baby step. But, oh, my goodness, of all the things that he has on his shelf, I have a feeling, a small bottle of this might wind up there somehow someday. So I'm hopeful. Well, we've both had the chance to take in some really great places and experiences this year, and I wanted to take a moment and talk about some of the really great experiences as well that we've had. But let's take a quick break here and come back, and we'll talk about some of the bars and events that we got to go to as well. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to Sips, Suds, and Smokes. We are talking about our favorite things in the spirits and distilled products for 2014. Joining me here at the table is good old boy Jason, and we want to pick up our conversation talking about some of the favorite places that we've been to. And I'm actually going to kick off the conversation here because the thing I loved about this is that you and I have both been to this place, which is really cool. So if you really find yourself gushing months later about some place that you've been, this is what you're kind of looking for. So the thing I got to go to this year was the Brandy Library in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
This was just a real highlight, and I really loved our conversation we had about this because neither one of us knew that we both had been, to the Brandy Library. I got to go 2 or 3 times this year, and the first visit that I had there, I was really treated like royalty by the staff. The owner of the place, sat with me. And it was just a really great evening. And, it's really cool that you've been there as well. And I know that you really had a great experience at Brandy Library as well.
I did.
This year, too.
Yeah, this past year, I will tell you that I had a great buddy who is a Scotch blender and maker, and I was in New York, and he decided to take us out, and after we went to one bar which was called Hogs and Heifers, which is very much the Coyote Ugly. We're going to spray you with water and yell at you through a megaphone. We then changed gears and went to the Brandy Library, and I'm telling you, I was floored. How cool are those shelves and the walls, and then you get this menu of just spirits it's just so thick, and you just get lost in it.
It truly is a candy store for people that really enjoy distilled products, and I can't say enough good things, not only about their selection, but mostly about their staff.
Oh, such good people.
Jason and I can really hang tough, in a room like this, and especially with, a vast inventory like that. I was intimidated. And that is really saying an awful lot. And I really enjoyed leveraging the staff there to kind of help navigate through some things. So I actually got to go back to there several times. The first time I'm going to talk about the tasting I went to was a stave of Armagnacs. And the second time I went back, I actually went back for a tasting of Jura Scotch. Mm-hmm. And the third time I just went with a couple of friends, and I can't even remember what everything I had that evening, but it was all really awesome. I guess the thing is that we both go to a lot of really grand tastings, with rooms of just 1,000+ products, and my palate was like blown after about 300 of them, most of the time. But it's just this very simple sitting that I had at Brandy Library. I had one stave. Now, a stave is it's the piece of wood out of a barrel. So there are multiple staves that go around, and so it's actually just a piece of curved wood, that's off a barrel. And they use this as a presentation piece. And they actually line up 10 glasses on the stave, and in this case, it was a combination of they let me pick some Armagnacs, and then I let them pick some on top of that. So they kind of look where my palate was going, and then they actually stacked some other things on top of that. And then it kept on pouring more things after I had the 10 too. And I'm going to talk about one of those that was off the stave. But, it was just absolutely left me breathless. I really love Armagnac to begin with, and it's one of these things that I don't get to sit down and enjoy it maybe as much as I'd like. I will say that this is kind of how the thought process goes. I'll sit down and I'll consume some really great wine, and the end of the evening will hit, and I'll go, you know what? I'm just not quite done. My palate's not quite done, and I will go for a tawny port, is what I'll end up having, or I'll have a ruby port. So I'll end up having some more port wine, 9 times out of 10, and then inevitably, like the next day, I go, crap, man, I wish I'd had some Armagnac instead, because that would have been the better finish on the back end of that wine than really having probably as much port as I probably can, consume. And so sitting down and getting to enjoy, these Armagnacs were really good. And, it's just a pure candy land in there for just any distilled spirits, aficionado. I mean, it's really just amazing. So I have to tell you about the highlight of this tasting was a 1966 Laubade Armagnac. Now, Chateau Laubade was founded in 1870 with the Lagosagast. Yeah, I butchered that.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try to correct you on that one. I have no clue.
It's a family in France who began expanding their ownership of wineries and distilleries in the region beginning in 1974 under the Vendebal Lagueur name. When they first purchased about 100 hectares in the Basse Armagnac region. A lot of Armagnacs from Basse Armagnac. So the company remains family-owned and is independent to this day, which is pretty rare. Mm-hmm. Even for Armagnac. So today they actually own about 105 hectares, of their own vineyards, and they distill their own product in a traditional Albeck's pot still. And they actually age using wood from their own property. So it's not like they go.
That's really neat.
Yeah, it's really kind of cool how you have this really kind of closed loop, system. So it's really quite amazing. They actually use 7 different aging cellars, and they really kind of work hard to kind of get the right blend on this. So this particular product is considered a VSOP, or a very special old pale. So if you ever see that on the label and you ever want to know what that is, that's what VSOP stands for. It doesn't mean old and expensive. Or as the clerk says, are you sure you can afford that, sir? So in the VSOP expression, they actually mention the Ugni Blanc and the Fol Blanc are actually very dominant in the very youngest blends, that are only aged about 6 years. So, it's really the way I would describe, some of the tasting around this. It's very vanilla. It has kind of a prune flavor to it, and a finish that just keeps on lasting, and just layers and layers and layers and layers of wood. The Willett that we had tonight was like the one thing that reminded me a lot of the experience of this particular Armagnac. So definitely, if you have the chance to try this product, I definitely would encourage you to check this out. I'll give that a 5 for sure for the 66 Laubade Armagnac. Now, I spent a lot of time in New York City, and I ended up hanging out at the Waldorf Towers. Fabulous hotel. I mean, it's a really great place to stay in New York. I was very fortunate to be able to stay there as long as I did. And I found myself as a fixture in the lobby bar. So if you don't know, there are several bars in the Waldorf Astoria. There's one in the lobby, and then there's the Bull and the Pig down. It's down at the street level. It's very famous. It's so famous I can't remember the name. There are a couple other bars in there. They're not open all the time, but the one in the lobby is open quite a bit, and it really is very much a gathering place in that bar. A real treat that I had was the Four Roses 2014 limited edition small batch. It was actually just right there at the bar one evening, and I just happened to notice it's behind the bartender, and I was like, "Hey, can I have some of that?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's not even on the menu yet." He's like, "You must know." Yes, I know. So he's like, "Yes, Mike, I know you know. Let's." And we actually tasted it together, and it was really fabulous. And you asked me about it earlier, and I'm not really a traditional Four Roses fan, but there was something about this particular batch that I just felt like it was moving me into a space where I was like, this is actually pretty cool. I really liked it a lot. It wasn't probably what I would consider very typical Four Roses. Everything was kind of kicked up exponentially in it. It was just it was a really great rendition. I've killed several bottles of some rather nice 1995 Bordeaux one evening with a lovely group of people on a very fat expense account. I've sat with dukes and other royalty. I've kept wives and future ex-wives company at the bar. And I've watched more than a few actually get lost in the ambience of that bar at the Waldorf. So, it was really kind of a great experience in New York, just kind of, all the way around. I mean, really enjoyed this experience at at the Brandy Library, but just kind of hanging out there at the Waldorf. I really, I kind of got to grow on me rather quickly. A lot of great drinks. The one that you may have saw posting on our Facebook site was the White Campari. I mean, that was a really fabulous drink, and I really enjoyed the way they made that. The bittering component around that was just a really fabulous product. Well, Jason, I know you get around as much as I do, not just in New York and not just the Brandy Library. What are some of the things that you did this year?
Well, I can tell you that I went down to New Orleans, and I can tell you that I found a couple honey holes down there. One of my favorites being the Bourbon House down on Bourbon Street.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
I've been
and I will tell you that I got to try, which turned out to be one of my favorite whiskeys, which was the Michter's 20-year-old, the Stitzer Weller juice.
Sure, wasn't the Mitchers?
And I will tell you, I mean, what a cool experience. Their whiskey list is fantastic. Very cool ambiance. I mean, you can go and have a $150 whiskey and then walk out and, just be on Bourbon Street with all the drunkards of New Orleans. So great experience.
Yeah, definitely. I love the Carousel Bar there, and, definitely some of the large restaurant places. I spent a lot of time in New Orleans, with a client that I had there, and really got to know the city probably just a little too well. And we could probably have a whole nother show, but I would definitely say Bourbon House is really great. I can
tell you, we also went to the Windsor Court Hotel. That's where we stayed at.
Yeah,
and I got to try one of my elephants, my big boy, my whale, and that was the A.H. Hirsch 16-year-old. I got to try that for the very first time.
Wow.
And I will tell you, not that impressed.
Huh.
Save your money. Save your money.
Interesting. Well, any other events that you went to? I know you talked about a tasting that you went to as well, right?
Well, I go through tastings all the time, but yeah, I can tell you that, we go to a lot of industry tastings, which are really unique, very cool. You get to try all the stuff that's coming out, all the stuff the distillers are putting out. But I will tell you, and we had this conversation earlier, my favorite experience this past year has just been, I made some friends here in Nashville where I live, and, they're bourbon collectors just like me. And what we decided to do was we decided to invite some of the biggest collectors from Kentucky to come down to Nashville, and we were all going to go to this one person's house. Everybody was going to bring their bottles. Nobody knew what anyone was bringing. And we were just going to drink whiskey and talk. And I mean, some of these people, I had never met any of these people. I had no idea what I was walking into. So much so that I took a case of liquor into the house with me, and I left a case of liquor in the car because I didn't know.
You're as bad as me.
Oh, yeah, because I didn't know if I wanted to, bring in some of my good bottles for these people. I just didn't know, are these people going to be,
so bad.
Putting Coca-Cola in a bottle of Pappy? I didn't know what I was walking into. But I will tell you, I mean, what an incredible experience. I mean, we got to taste bottles, that were released right after Prohibition all the way up to now. I mean, people were bringing stuff from Japan that was Japan-only released bourbon, stuff that I'll never get to see again, stuff that I found out, I didn't know I was a fan of that. And I had no idea. I needed to drink the whiskey that was made 20 years ago, not the stuff that they're pumping out today. I had no idea. So, if I was to give a recommendation out there to, people who are really wanting to get into the collecting, trying some of the higher end stuff, make some friends. And I mean, seriously, you'll get to try stuff that you don't have to spend a fortune on, and you all get to share. And I mean, it becomes a really incredible experience.
Well, the only thing I'm pissed about this is you lost my phone number because I don't get my invite to this shindig. I was probably hanging out in New York anyway. So, but absolutely, I go to a lot of private tastings, quite a bit. I actually host, quite a few tastings as well, and I think when you have a natural passion for so many of these products, I think that's a great way of, I think, experiencing things with, without such a hit to your wallet and your budget. But if anything, you get to expand your concept about, those products as well by hearing other people's opinions that you know that you probably value, their opinion about as well.
Absolutely. So. I mean, not to mention you walk into a room with, 20 to 25 people, and I mean, you don't know anything about them, but, 10 minutes later, y'all are all best buddies because y'all are all relating to this one thing that everybody's passionate about. I mean, it was a very, very cool experience.
Well, Jason, if you lost my phone number, that email address is info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. Sorry, I had to rag him about that. Well, we've had a really great time today talking about some really fabulous stuff from 2014. And I think I am just really thrilled about what's ahead of us here for 2015 already. I mean, I just I really love kind of so many trends that we've talked about today, and I'm really looking forward to a lot of great things that we get to talk about hopefully next year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very much looking forward to what people are going to put out in 2015. I think there's going to be some serious trends. We had talked about it earlier. I think 2015 is the year of the cask strength, as I like to call it. We've already heard, Jack Daniels is going to put out a cask strength whiskey, which is, I mean, who knew that was coming?
Yeah, I missed that one. Well, domo arigato to our listeners here on Suds and Smokes. Because I think you're going to be tasting a lot of Japanese whiskey.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of Japanese whiskey this year. That is for sure.
You can catch all of our episodes online on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, TuneIn, PRX, YouTube, Uncle John's Basement, and Spreaker, our native media host. Our terrestrial radio stations are questioning every single time, hey, those guys are actually drinking whiskey and we're paying them. What's up with that? Well, anyway, they're still choosing to put us on the air. Listen, if you enjoyed this show and you'd like to hear it on your favorite radio station, send them a bottle of that Willett from the gift shop.
You'll make a lot of friends that way, won't you?
Maybe they'll put this show on the air. Send them a note and copy us as well. And listen, you can reach us anytime online at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. Our daily tasting notes flow out on Twitter. Our handle on Twitter is @SipSudsSmokes. Our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news. Listen, do us a favor. We didn't ask you anything to enjoy this show, but we would love for you to rate the show online. And that was a really big help to us, and we get to see your feedback as well. I want to thank my co-host for being here today. Jason, thank you once again.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me. And, you told me that I needed a little catchphrase. So my catchphrase for this year is going to be, life's too short. Drink something great.
Ooh, I like that. And you started today with Pear Brandy.
Yeah.
Well, it's good old Mike asking you to come back and join us once again and to keep on sipping.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see y'all next time.